Hot Toys has created a new version of Captain Rex since the first time we got to see him in live action was Ahsoka. This version of Rex has a Phase 1 and Phase 2 look, but less accessories than the previous release of Rex from the Clone Wars. So today we'll be taking a look at this new Rex and comparing it to the Clone Wars version of him to see if he's worth the upgrade. Plus, this Rex has some accessories and features that may make him look a bit different when you put him in the collection with other Clone Wars clones, so we need to find out how well he's going to pair with them. And on top of that, I need your input to help make this final decision for my collection. As you all know, all good unboxings start with a box, and this is another basic black Star Wars box. There's a nice image of Rex up front rocking the Phase 2 armor, which is actually an image of the figure. The wraparound banner follows the Ahsoka design for the other Ahsoka releases with that kind of blue coloring and then the world between worlds in the back. This is TMS 119. There's an image of Rex on the right side of the banner wearing that Phase 1 armor. The right side of the banner has the rest of the figure image and info. The left side has another beautiful image of the figure in that clean Phase 1 armor look, and it's getting me pretty excited to put it on him. The back of the box has a bunch of additional info. Then the top and bottom of the box just state Star Wars. Let's take the top off of the box, and once it's gone, we're greeted with some beautiful yet basic artwork on that slipcover. It's just Rex in his Phase 2 armor right there in the middle, but he is in front of the world between worlds with some blue in the background. Removing that cover, we can now get a sneak peek of the figure inside. Let's get that tray out of the box. There's a small tray holding all of his hands up top attached to the top. Then we need to take that plastic cover off, and man, I'm so excited. Right out of the box, I can tell that this Rex is he's different. I'm not sure how much reuse there is here because he doesn't really seem like their other typical clones, so I'm kind of excited for the comparisons. Of course, right now he's wearing that Phase 2 armor, but later on, of course, we'll swap the Phase 1 armor on him. I'm kind of excited to do that. But this Phase 2 helmet does look fantastic. There's a ton of weathering since this is the scene in the show where they're in the sand. There's orange sand coloring in the crevices, and he has a bunch of, I guess, black burns kind of on different places on his helmet. And since he welded his own helmet together, we can see the weld marks done in a shiny chrome, and they just look beautiful. And also, if you run your finger on them, you can actually feel them. They're like a raised sculpted piece. He has the blue accents, and even those have that cool looking paint chipping detail. This is definitely a new mold since the earpieces can't be removed, and his rangefinder also has like a designated articulation route instead of just twisting downwards, kind of like the old design. And honestly, I kind of love how it looks. The pauldron also looks fantastic. There's lots of small stitching detail here, and it's not sculpted this time. It's kind of a leather-like material, but I really hope it's not actually pleather. The blue section even has some weathering on it with some like black specklings and stuff. His chest pouch is velcroed on this time and doesn't use a magnet, so it's actually more secure. The chest armor has a welded look, and his armor overall is just fantastic. The blue accents are all scratched up and weathered. He has the detailing for the tally marks, and I'm in love with the armor here. I will say some pieces do feel pretty loose, so they twist around a lot easier than they do on some of the other clones. But my assumption is it's kind of like that because you can swap in some of the Phase 1 pieces, but also some of the pieces you're not supposed to swap out are still loose, so that kind of stinks, so I have to call it out. And also because you can swap in the Phase 1 armor, they also didn't add the orange sand weathering detail to every piece, so some of it does look kind of out of place because it's a bit cleaner, and then the piece right above it's a bit orange. So I guess that's also a little bit odd. But one amazing thing with this figure is the hip skirts. These are actually wired, so we can actually pose them this time, and honestly, it kind of sucks that they don't do this with every clone. Even some of the clones that released after him still don't have wires in their hip skirts. His holsters especially are different because his blasters look nothing like the other Clone Wars versions. But like I said, this figure seems to be mostly new sculpts for the armor. So let's get into those accessories, starting with that new weaponry. Immediately, these two DC-17s look way different. These have a more realistic pistol-like appearance with added parts on them to make them look more Star Wars-y, I guess. Which for live-action Star Wars makes sense, as that's what other live-action Star Wars media usually does, like especially the originals. Then his DC-15 looks way different as well. His weapons are all weathered very nicely. They're all mostly black, but do have some silver chipping and accents on them. But the odd thing here is that they're so different than what comes with the animated Clone Wars figures, so I don't know how well he's gonna fit in yet, but we'll definitely check that out. He also gets his thermal detonator, and man, I can tell this is tiny compared to all the other thermal detonators we've gotten with the other Clone Wars releases. So yeah, we're definitely gonna be doing some weapon comparisons. Let's get his base out here. There's a chrome nameplate up front stating Captain Rex. Then the rest of the base is rectangular and seems to be basically reuse. The sandy textured portion is sculpted the same way all the other Star Wars sandy or snowy bases are, so it should fit in perfectly with the Commander Cody or Airborne Trooper bases. He does get a crotch grabber and this just pegs right into the base. Let's check out those hands. He gets a set of phase 1 and phase 2 hands, so let's start with the phase 2 hands as he already has a relaxed style pair of hands right out of the box. He then has a pair of trigger finger hands, and then one open palm style hand. The detailing here is fantastic. It's definitely a new sculpt as the armor is shaped very differently, but the weathering and tally marks also look really good. The black glove portion is also fantastic looking with the sculpted detail for additional padding and different things like that. Now his phase 1 hands are basically identical to phase 2 hands, but they're just missing the tally marks. He gets 2 relaxed style hands, 2 trigger finger hands, and an open palm style hand. Now let's look at the phase 1 armor pieces. The phase 1 helmet is beautiful. Usually I don't really use the phase 1 helmets on any of my clones, but this one does look amazing if I ever did want to start using them. It's much cleaner than that phase 2 helmet, but it also has some great looking weathering details in the crevices. Phase 1 chest and pauldron are also great looking. The weld marks and a lot of the weathering of course is missing from the chest armor, and honestly I kind of prefer how this pauldron looks over the one from the phase 2 armor. You also get some swap out forearm pieces that are missing the tally marks. Then the shin armor is also just missing the tally marks, so these pieces look very similar to the phase 2 ones, but I guess he just hasn't started tallying up whatever the heck he's tallying. So overall, the phase 1 pieces are much cleaner, but let's see how good they are by putting them on the figure. To put the chest piece on, we need to remove the phase 2 helmet first. Then we pinch together the back of the chest armor and it just disconnects the armor pieces. Then we just remove the armor from the figure by disconnecting the Velcro in the front. We can now slot the phase 1 chest armor on the figure and secure it to the Velcro and itself. The phase 1 helmet just pops onto that ball peg. Now we can remove its hands and the forearm armor. Then we just slide on the phase 1 armor and put the phase 1 hands on the figure. The same is done to remove and add the phase 1 shin armor, and man, I probably just said phase 1 a ton, but with all the pieces on them, this looks amazing. We will definitely be doing some comparisons with other clones and their phase 1 looks, but honestly, their phase 1 looks are just helmets, and for Rex, it's a whole swap out piece. Or pieces, I should say. So now let's start the Captain Rex comparison with the phase 2 armor. The newer Rex will be on the left and the Clone Wars Rex is on the right. First of all, both figures look incredible no matter what you get. So if you do already own one of them, hopefully this will help you determine if you need the other one to swap yours out. And if you don't own either, then to me, the main consideration here would be cost, but also which look you really want. Of course, if you prefer the more Clone Wars accurate look with a green tint to the armor, then you definitely want the Clone Wars figure because you can see that the Ahsoka Rex's armor is wider and cleaner, but of course that could be more preferred for some of you. Then overall look wise, you can see the helmets do differ quite a bit. The Ahsoka helmet looks slimmer and the armor overall is glossier. The Clone Wars figure armor is more matte and less reflective. The pauldron on the Clone Wars figure is sculpted and the chest pouch is a bit smaller in comparison. The chest armor on the Clone Wars figure is shorter than the Ahsoka Rex as well. The blue color on the Ahsoka figure seems to be brighter and honestly, it doesn't look like it's painted on as good. The Clone Wars figure has an extra outline detail, so I mean, they're painted on fine on both figures, but I just like that little bit of extra detailing. The hip skirts on the Ahsoka Rex are also wired, which is a pretty big improvement in my opinion, just for posability. But armor wise, man, this is a tough decision. The Ahsoka Rex is definitely a lot different with that glossy appearance and even a different look to the blue sections on the armor. I do like the helmet on the Ahsoka Rex more, but the Clone Wars blue accent pieces have much more detailing. Plus the Clone Wars Rex has more scratches, but the Ahsoka Rex went for more of like a sandy appearance for the weathering. The green tint to the armor looks cool on the Clone Wars figure, but right now at least I have to say the Ahsoka Rex wins. Which for now at least is a pretty interesting conclusion as the Clone Wars Rex only gets the phase 2 armor look, which could be a downside depending on what you're into. So definitely let me know your thoughts in the comments as to which phase 2 armor looks good. But now we have to consider the accessories on both figures. It's no surprise that the Clone Wars Rex gets many more accessories because you don't get that phase 1 look. He gets 2 DC-17s and putting them side by side with the Ahsoka Rex, yeah, this is another case of the Clone Wars Rex being more Clone Wars accurate as they're much smaller. The DC-15s also differ quite a bit with the Ahsokas on the left-ish side. And look-wise, I do prefer the Clone Wars weapons, but the main reason for that is the fact that they'll actually match the other Clone Wars figures in my display. The Clone Wars Rex also gets a jetpack that just magnetically attaches to the back of them. This also gets some blast effects down below. There's a better variety of hands here, as the Clone Wars Rex gets a pointing hand, thumbs up, and much more. Comparing these hands to the Ahsoka Rex's hands, I do like the additional damage detailing on the Ahsoka Rex hands more. And what's awesome is he also has the Ahsoka helmet from season 7 of the Clone Wars. This is an awesome inclusion, but it's very Clone Wars specific. So for me, I don't put it on him in the display, but it is an awesome piece to have and kind of just put somewhere to show off. And the best accessory for the Clone Wars Rex has to be that unmasked head sculpt. Although he didn't take the mask off in Ahsoka, a new Rex head sculpt with rolling eyeballs would have been awesome to see. But this is still a nice sculpt that is compatible with the Ahsoka Rex. The Clone Wars Rex also gets a flashlight and micro binocular, if I probably said that very weird, attachment that kind of works with the other Clone Wars clones as well and just goes right on his helmet. Since the Ahsoka Rex's helmet doesn't have removable pieces, these unfortunately don't work with them. Accessories wise, the Clone Wars Rex definitely has to win. And also just a quick note on the articulation, the Clone Wars Rex also is much better because the Ahsoka Rex you can't really move the legs too much up near the hips. But of course that part's just personal preference depending on how much you like to pose your figures. So overall, if you're going for the Phase 1 look, of course the Ahsoka Rex will win, but if you're strictly going for a Phase 2 Clone Wars accuracy look, the Clone Wars Rex is definitely superior. But for me, I do believe that I'm going to replace my Clone Wars Rex with the Ahsoka Rex in the collection because I really like how it looks. And honestly, the option for the Phase 1 look kind of sold me on him. I really love that. But of course, what do you guys think? Because this is definitely a tough decision and I would love to keep both, but I feel like I only need one Rex in my collection. So I will wait on your input before making a complete final decision. But now it's time for some additional comparisons, starting with Anakin. This is the older Clone Wars Anakin, and yes, there is a newer Ahsoka Anakin out there that may be better than this one. As a bit of a heads up, we will definitely find out which is better when mine arrives, because yes, I'm getting that new Ahsoka Anakin as well. But for now at least, this is still an awesome looking figure, but the head sculpt to me at least is a bit outdated. And also, I just had to test out how Anakin looks next to that Phase 1 version of Rex, and man, it looks so good. Now we have Fives and Echo flanking each side of Rex. This is an awesome looking pairing, and honestly, this live action Rex doesn't look too out of place. He is glossier and we can tell the armor is shaped a bit differently, but the ARC Trooper design is also pretty unique, so I really like how this looks. We now have Season 7 Ahsoka. There's a younger live action version of Ahsoka from, I guess, the earlier seasons of Clone Wars, but I don't know if I'm going to be getting that one. If there's a killer Black Friday deal this year that I just can't say no to, maybe I'll get that one. But for me, right now at least, my Clone Wars Ahsoka from Season 7 is my definitive Clone Wars Ahsoka. Here's Commander Cody, and yeah, this is also an amazing pairing. Their colors contrast, and I love seeing Rex and Cody together since their gen roles are Master and Apprentice. Cody also gets a Phase 1 helmet, so I had to take a look at that comparison. Here's Rex next to Wolf, and I love how Wolf looks. He's an awesome figure, and I cannot wait to get in my Plo Koon so I can have him in front of that deluxe Wolfpack Trooper and then Wolf here, because yes, I also ended up getting that Wolfpack Trooper. So you'll definitely see them all on the channel eventually, and also Wolf has a Phase 1 helmet, so I had to do another Phase 1 comparison. If you don't have a Captain Rex and want to swap out for a Phase 1 and Phase 2 look, I would definitely say to get the Ahsoka Rex. If you just want a Phase 2 Rex, that's where it gets a bit more complicated. That Clone Wars Rex still looks amazing and fits in a bit better with the other Clone Wars figures because he just uses the same reuse armor that all of those figures use. The Ahsoka Rex is a bit glossier with a different design for some of the armor pieces, so if you want that first Rex release with a green tint and additional accessories, I'd say to go for that one, especially if you can find it for a decent price, a bit cheaper than the Ahsoka Rex. But to me at least, right now the Ahsoka Rex is superior. There's just something about it that I love. The glossy look works for me, and I love the additional weathering and options for the Phase 1 or 2 look. Definitely having that Phase 1 option kind of sold me on them. So maybe in the future, I can take all my clones and swap them in their Phase 1 look, and now since I have Rex who has the option, I can definitely do that. But honestly, I was kind of surprised by how insanely good that Clone Wars Rex still looks, especially compared up to the newer Rex. I can't say definitively which Phase 2 look is better because they're both accomplishing different things, so you have to give me your input in the comments, because if you're going for the Clone Wars look, like I said, the Clone Wars Rex is better, but if you're just looking for a Rex with some Phase 1 armor look, then that one is the definitive Rex. So until we get a new Rex with a head sculpt with different rolling eyeballs and such, I now have my definitive Phase 1 and Phase 2 Captain Rex. But let's talk about Captain Rex down in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, definitely give it a like and hit subscribe for much more content like this. Check out another figure review in the playlist that'll pop up, maybe the Commander Cody review, or check out the collection tour to see how my collecting journey's going. As always, thank you to the channel members. I look forward to talking to you all again very soon, but until next time, stay 6 scale.